So do you guys remember back in April of this very year, just over 6 months ago, Tesla stock bottoming out around $140 per share, and everyone super bearish, disastrous quarter, need an adult in the room, demand collapsing, end of the world, blah, blah, blah. Well, here we are. Stock now $369 per share. Tesla, once again, talk of the town. Here's the latest from Jim Flip-Flop Cramer. I'm not sure what his opinion will be tomorrow, but here's what he said today.
No, should point out Tesla shares up a nice 3% this morning, Jim.
Well, Tesla's an up stock. That's what I would call it if I were on a trading desk. I think it goes much higher. I think it probably goes to 500. I see nothing in between that.
Really?
500. Yeah, because I think that in the end, remember how I said that the younger people, they made the bet of Bitcoin because the president-elect told you? The president-elect's telling you Tesla's going higher.
So there we have it. The court jester of the finance media, Jim Cramer, saying on air that he sees Tesla stock heading to $500 per share with nothing between where it is now, call it about $370, and $500. Where was this extremely bullish sentiment back in April? I don't just mean from Jim, I mean from everyone. It's amazing to have seen the sheeple capitulate, panic, freak out, and dump Tesla stock, which is now up more than 2.5 times. It's possible by end of year it could have tripled from those lows just over 6 months ago. The question is, has anything fundamental and meaningful changed about Tesla's business or their future prospects? And the answer is no. Certainly, an economic era of prosperity, a golden age in the US under a Trump administration will be good for Tesla. It'll be good for all companies, people, businesses, everyone. It'll be great for the US. Rising tide lifts all boats. But it's not like a complete game changer. It's positive. But it's not doubling or tripling the value of a company type of positive. You know what I mean? And absolutely nothing of note has changed with autonomy. We saw FSD version 12 probably more than a year ago now. That was the big moment. It went fucking insane at the time and everyone ignored it. Maybe not you guys, but just more widely. What's changed? Oh, I know what's actually changed. What's changed is the stock's higher. So suddenly now everyone's becoming bullish again. Tesla really is, again, talk of the town. Can Tesla's bull run continue? Now I want to point something out. There tend to be these extended periods in Tesla's history as a company where the company continues to execute phenomenally, pull further ahead, set themselves up for a dominant future, and investors ignore. Eventually, the penny drops, suddenly the big money piles in and the stock tends to rip. It's happened a handful of times in the company's history where the stock has doubled or tripled or more almost overnight after doing nothing for a number of years. I do again want to underscore, there's nothing dramatic that has changed about Tesla the company or their technology or their inevitable future in the last 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12 months. Nothing. Yet the stock not far off tripling in a little over 6 months. This is another of those examples. While over the short term, the stock market is a voting machine. It's purely sentiment-driven, thoughts and feelings, completely detached from reality often. But over the long time, it tends to be a weighing machine.
Did you principally want to have clarified by going down to visit the facility? And what left you more optimistic?
Great. Well, thanks for having me. I'm an old school gearhead. I've been doing this for over 25 years. I love seeing factories. So that was the first thing, really, to see the Austin facility for the first time. So that was great. Seems like it's a really good facility. But I guess probably more important than that was our test drives of FSD in a Model Y. I was in version 13.2, and it was incredibly good through some very challenging scenarios. So that was incredibly impressive.
Was anyone keeping count of how many times the word incredible or incredibly was used in that sentence? I think we're up to about 69 instances, which kind of gets to the point. Clearly, Mr. Analyst over here, very impressed with FSD version 13.2. And I'm noticing something happen among these Wall Street analysts today. I don't want to single out anyone in particular, but I'm noticing the penny's starting to drop. Some of them are finally starting to understand that what Tesla's produced with FSD is extremely capable. Some of them are even thinking, wait, if it gets a little bit better, they could be operating autonomously. And as this happens, we notice, by the way, I don't know if you guys saw the caption, this guy is a, quote, automotive analyst. See? A senior automotive analyst. This guy's been covering car companies for a couple of decades, right? So you can understand why some of the analysts, just in general, who were throwing Tesla years ago because they're just a car company, were a little bit confused or didn't notice exactly what was taking place. What's going to happen, though? As one analyst, one colleague says, hey, I tried FSD 13.2, it's fucking amazing. Increasing price target because Tesla might actually solve autonomy and they might actually take a massive slice of the market. I feel their colleagues might think, that motherfucker, man, that the valuation doesn't make sense, what? Huh? And they go, wait, why did this guy increase his price target? Autonomy, huh? FSD, but I thought Waymo was ahead. Let me get a demo drive too. Oh shit. I think that we're going to start to see a wave maybe a pretty slow wave, of analysts one after the other. Hear a colleague sharing their experience with Tesla FSD, the latest version, and then try it themselves, which, by the way, they should have been doing from day one. Don't get me started. And then bump their price target and become more bullish on the company and start talking more about autonomy and less about last quarter's gross automotive margins. Could be wrong. I'm just getting a sense, my gut feel, that the next 6 to 12 months, we're going to see a massive narrative shift among many of the analysts covering Tesla. And with it, many price target changes. Just having a quick look here on the Webull app. And the current high price target on Tesla stock for the next 12 months is $411 per share. About 10% from where we are today. I'm going to make a prediction, a very dangerous one, okay? Within a few months, there will be a handful of price targets meaningfully above the $411 mark. And the better part of 6 or so months from now, there's probably going to be a handful in the 500 or 600 range. Not all of them, I'm just saying. I think we're about to see a massive shift in perceptions. Again, the reality hasn't changed. But perceptions, especially from analysts, which often informs the decisions of big money on Wall Street, which can move the stock price, certainly can make a difference to buying activity.
FSD to continue to grow as a percent or a penetration rate to continue to grow over time, which will create recurring profit and revenue streams off these vehicles, which will be far higher than the initial hardware sales. And I think that really is where we got pretty optimistic about what can happen here. And our $400 price objective, our updated one, is the first stop. We'll see how this ultimately goes over time and how things are executed over the next year or two.
So I have to give credit where it's due. He gets it. At least he gets the concept of autonomy. You sell the vehicle, who cares about gross automotive margin? The reason I've been roasting people focused on this for the last couple of years will make sense. What matters is not how much you sold the car for, what you made on the car at the point of sale, but the recurring revenue from software subscriptions and Robotaxi fares. These things will become money printers on wheels. And Tesla already has millions of them on the roads. This completely transforms Tesla, the business, their profitability, and the way many investors are going to look at the company. However, I do want to remind everybody that's actually illegal and you'll get thrown in prison for the rest of your life if you happen to be an analyst on Wall Street who even considers the possible implications of Tesla solving autonomy until it's actually happened, because those are the rules. And if you break the rules, you go to prison. So I don't know if John here knows that he's breaking the rules, but he's obviously going to spend the rest of his life in prison for having this courage to actually think about the implications before the first Robotaxi fair and a Tesla takes place. The balls on this guy.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, it's added like $500 billion in market cap in a matter of a few months. And so the big question there is, the pacing of whatever financial benefit is going to be coming through, whether it's full self-driving and the Robotaxi business, and then also just actual here and now demand for EVs.
So I guess there'd be three things I'd point to. First, the launch of the low-cost vehicle next year. That's going to be very important to get out there. The market opens up very significantly in the U.S. and globally, sub $40,000. So that vehicle coming out sub $40,000 is going to be very important, and hopefully that'll be X the $7,500 IRA credit, which is at risk. I think the other two things that are really important is that the potential for Optimus and FSD, or full autonomy, to really take off are important. And when you kind of sort of dare to dream, like a lot of the growth investors in this name do, I mean, you got a $100 trillion global GDP number, 50% of that is labor, right? So that's the TAM for Optimus.
Bro, dude, I'm out of words. It doesn't happen very often. I'm speechless. He just dared to discuss the possible implications of Tesla disrupting the global labor market with the humanoid robot. Dude, I don't think you understand. I'm sitting here with my jaw agape, just holy shit. Now, the reason this is blowing my mind is this guy's an analyst, an automotive analyst from Wall Street. His colleagues are going to be having conniptions. I mean, I completely agree, by the way, with what he's talking about. And the fact that he talks about if you dare to dream, this is amazing to see. He's breaking all the rules among his colleagues, right, on Wall Street. You can't do this. You can't think about something in the future until it happens. Otherwise, that involves courage. You're not allowed to have courage if you're an analyst. Not only is he understanding the autonomy opportunity, although with his price target at 400, I mean, hey, look, it's progress. But he's now just mentioned there are potentially a massive future implications of the humanoid robots. Obviously, you do need to look into the future and dream a little. But this is massive, dude. I don't think you understand the guts it takes. Remember, the narrative for most of his colleagues, automotive margins are collapsing, just a car company, Optimus is a joke, it'll never happen, or it's decades away, autonomy is never going to happen, or Cruise and Waymo are ahead. Dude. Now, that said, he's got a $400 price target. Tesla's already around $370. I'd love to see the valuation model if anyone's got a copy, how he gets there. I wonder if they have a dare to dream scenario in the valuation model and what it would look like in that case.
how much of that it actually takes or adds to is huge. And then on the FSD side, you have about 10 trillion miles driven each year on the roads around the world. If you capture 50 cents or $1 in each of those miles, your potential profit is tremendous.
Holy fucking shit. He's actually done some thinking. I am completely lost for words. The thing is, I can just edit out the silences so you guys won't hear me sitting there stunned. This motherfucker actually gets it. He's talked about the vehicles producing recurring revenue as robotaxis, massive. And he's talked about how to actually think about and model the implications of autonomy. How many miles are driven? What could Tesla capture in terms of revenue or even profit per mile? Right? That's the way to think about it. It's per mile with autonomy. I mean, this is amazing. This might be the first guy who actually has articulated the way to be thinking about Tesla's future in the mainstream media. Now, I also want to add a slight caveat. The number of miles driven today is completely fucking irrelevant. What's relevant is how many miles in the future will be driven based on cost per mile coming down low enough, right? Forget today, because if in the future, cost of transportation per mile falls meaningfully below where it is today, obviously more people can afford to use transport as a service, meaning more total miles driven. But the point stands. This is what you want to be thinking about when you're modeling Tesla out over the longer term. What are they charging per mile on average globally? What's their profit on that? I mean, this stuff has all been in my Tesla valuation model since I first published it on Patreon back in 2021. The critical driver of Tesla's valuation over that 10-year period, which I always model 10 plus years, and I share 10 years, because I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow or the next few years, but I do have a pretty high level of confidence over a decade-long period what the trend's going to be. From day one, the Robotaxi fleet has been critical, fundamental, for driving the majority of my valuation for Tesla. The way to think about it is how many Tesla Robotaxis are operating on Earth. The fleet size, the Robotaxi fleet size, right? And what are they charging on average per mile? Then you've got to ask, what's Tesla's cut of that? Keep in mind, some of those vehicles they'll own and operate themselves. Others, it'll be a Tesla Model 3 or Model Y owner or even a Cybercab owner who's putting that vehicle on the fleet. So Tesla's cut of those will be a lot less than their personally owned vehicles. Well, they're company-owned vehicles, right? They're dedicated robotaxis. So what's their profit per mile, right? And then how many miles per year does the average robotaxi do? Now you're talking how many miles times what's their profit on each of those miles equals holy fucking shit. I think this is the first time I've heard an analyst describe this way of valuing Tesla, which is the way everyone should be modeling this out. And there should have been years ago. Unfucking believable. I think we might have reached a tipping point.
So I think, as you look at the two vectors that they're going on Optimus on the labor side and FSD on the autonomous side, there's really huge opportunities. And then just one last real thing. The speed of travel has not changed in the better part of the last 80 years. If you're in an autonomous vehicle that can't hit something, there's the potential for the speed of travel to go up significantly. And then all of a sudden you have structural economic growth like the US and the developed markets have not seen for more than 50 years.
Dude, this is so amazing now. Did you hear? I think it's Sarah in the back. Her reaction. NPC just trying to process somebody who actually understands Tesla describing the way to think about the company over the long term. I just got a funny feeling that the reaction from the panel here on CNBS is either just immediately move on to the next point, despite the fact this guy's talked about, not in explicit detail, but if you think about the implication, a $10 opportunity or even more, they're just going to move on to the next topic or just go, oh, cool story, bro. What about Tesla's gross automotive margins tomorrow? Hope I'm wrong.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you're correct to mention just sort of the dare to dream aspect of that's what this investor base is when it gets excited when the stock goes up. Those are the things that come into play. You do also raise the notion, though, that it has an incredibly low cost of capital based on, the stock trading at 100 times earnings. Do you actually think that they might be looking to raise more?
Well, I mean, growth investors are involved here, and they want to continue the company to continue to push the growth envelope on the top line. So raising 5% of the equity, which would be about $55 billion right now, would accelerate sort of the deployment of what they're doing on the Dojo side as far as the systems that are necessary for AI on full self-driving and for Optimus. And the reality there is, I don't think anybody would really bat an eye at a 5% dilution. That would be the largest capital raise in history, by the way, but really not that big a deal for a company with a $1.1 to $1.2 trillion market cap.
So I understand his point about potentially raising capital, 5% versus the market cap, to accelerate the AI stuff, but they won't need to. Instead of raising capital, Tesla can just crank out cybercabs, have them operating autonomously and paying for themselves in less than a year flat and then bringing in crazy money. Now, I could be wrong here, but I find it very hard to picture a scenario in which Tesla would choose to raise capital when instead they could just mass produce like extremely high volume cybercabs, put them on roads, and those things print crazy money almost instantly. Anyway, what an incredible appearance in the mainstream media from an automotive analyst, a senior automotive analyst, who incredibly seems to get it. I still am a little bit confused about how he's only at $400 a share, but hey, I mean, if someone's got the valuation model, I'd love to see it. But man, I think the narrative is starting to shift. Sure glad I was buying Tesla stock hand over fist as it cratered towards $140 a share just over 6 months ago, instead of panicking, or worse, selling my stock and then explaining why it was a very smart decision. Oh, fuck. Want more content? Early access? A bunch of perks? Click the links in the pinned comment. AG1 is awesome. I've been taking it daily now for more than 3 years. It's a great way to fill in nutritional gaps. It's packed full of vitamins, minerals, and whole food source nutrients. Plus, has prebiotics, probiotics, and adaptogens to improve gut health, regularity, and help your body handle stress. I'm always looking for an edge to help me feel and perform my best, which is why I haven't missed a day of AG1 for more than 3 years. Just try it and see how you feel. Click the link in the pinned comment or head to drinkag1.com/SMR and get yourself a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3 plus K2 and 5 travel packs. This is what viewers of the channel had to say after trying AG1. I feel like I have a lot more energy since I started on AG1. Just got my AG1 in the mail. Legit feeling the effects after day 3. 3 months ago, I started AG1 and have been enjoying the evenness of alertness and energy that lasts the day. I just started the wife on it too. Are you convinced yet? I mean, hey, it's worth trying, right? Click the link in the pinned comment or head to drinkag1.com/SMR, or I can keep going. This viewer, after about a month on AG1, definitely a lack of fatigue in the afternoon. Pleasant side effect is that my coffee intake has imploded and is almost down to 0. One more? Yeah, why not? I honestly feel younger and will be continuing to use AG1. This stuff really is crazy good. I didn't think it would be, but this stuff is awesome. It really is what everyone is saying. One more? Don't mind if I do. I've just received my 3rd month supply. I've drank it every day. I have so much energy throughout most of the day. I'm productive, started a new business, started socializing, refurbished a boat. It's no coincidence. Thank you for your persistence, your integrity, and your insights. Now look, these are not my words. These are not my testimonials. This is what you guys and girls are saying. Maybe it's 100% placebo effect. But even if that's the case, I think it's money well spent. Click the link in the pinned comment or head to drinkag1.com/SMR and get yourself a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3 plus K2 and 5 travel packs.